On Monday, January 30th, 2023, the International Holocaust Remembrance Day took place in the Peace Palace in The Hague. The horrors of the Holocaust were a turning point in history, which prompted the world to say, "Never again." The Remembrance Day was initiated by the Jewish Cultural Organization from The Hague, together with the Municipality of The Hague and the Embassy of Israel in the Netherlands.
Today, we remember the victims of the Holocaust. Over 12,000 Jewish residents of The Hague and 75 Sinti and Roma who lived in our city did not survive the Second World War. Their mass murder is and remains one of the biggest crimes ever to be committed in our city.
The well-fed soldiers who enjoyed the Christmas festive dinner ignored the Jewish mothers who were on the edge of collapsing out of exhaustion and constant hunger. Between these mothers, there was a Jewish mother who refused to obey the order of teaching her children the Christmas songs. That mother was my mother and the mother of my two older sisters. That same Christmas night, she hid us in an hedge under the barrack. While we were hidden, the other poor Jewish children sang the Christmas songs. As the choir was in full motion, some of the SS soldiers left the barrack and poured gasoline over the building, and 800 children were burned alive. Not one child survived Ravensbrück. My sister and I did survive.
We've gathered here today in the City of Peace and Justice to remember and to honor the victims of the Holocaust. On a day like today, it takes special significance representing the State of Israel. I stand here in front of you, not just an Israeli diplomat, but also as a son of Ruth, that she was an Holocaust survivor, and a grandson of Avner that was murdered in the Holocaust in Romania. My parents had to flee during the Shoah and immigrated from Romania and Bulgaria to Israel after the Second World War. I never met my grandfather that was murdered in Romania. So I think there is quite a personal impact telling this story, especially after the surveys that we heard about it in the last few weeks about how the young people in the Netherlands knows or what they don't know, the doubts they have about the Holocaust.
Being a grandson of Holocaust survivors, I found it interesting to get to know more about, to learn more about remembrance from different aspects, that being from scholars, that being from the ambassador of Israel or ministers of the Netherlands. They all highlighted one common thing, which is the importance to talk about the Holocaust, to teach others, and just to learn more about all the information we have. We also had the chance to learn more about a survivor, a Holocaust survivor from the Netherlands. She shared, based on her own aspects, the events she went through. And I think we should spread this even more towards the young generation so that they know exactly what went on, because we unfortunately don't have that many survivors left. And we also are facing many challenges such as ignorance of the Holocaust. And if we don't teach more about it and if we don't listen to what happened, then people of the future generation may forget about it.
This was a very enriching experience because I come from India and we follow a very different culture. To come here and to learn about such a major event, it was I'm really touched because there are a lot of things that we obviously knew about the Holocaust studying in India, but we never got to get such an in-depth analysis about the Holocaust. I didn't know most of the events that happened, and some of the photos were really horrific that I saw people marching down the street. It was really touching for me, and especially since I'm here, since I'm studying development studies, I feel it's very important for me to get in touch with Europe's past so I can help make better policies in the future.
I come from Lithuania, from the country that Holocaust history especially touched really in a very strong way, and in some ways I don't think that we talk enough about it, and when we don't talk enough about it, history sadly tends to repeat itself, and when I get the chance to be here, to see the images, impact for me as a young person is very immersive, as I try to, not to relive because it's not possible, but I try to kind of imagine what does it feel to stand on the edge of living or, yeah, losing your life. And I think it's important for us to talk about it, especially for not to repeat the history. And as Mayor of The Hague already said, and the Minister of Justice said that anti-Semitism is on the rise, I think it's time now to talk. Now, time to remember is also now, and for especially us as young people, it's time to act.
We have to understand that a big part of the Holocaust was destroying the culture of the Jewish society. And if you want to prevail Jewish living, we have a lot of work to do. That's that's the reality in Holland, in Europe. So that's one thing I take with me today, that we have to make sure that the way of living of the Jewish society, but also the cultural aspect, which lives through all the testimonies. On one hand, we have to make sure that the Jewish people can live safely in Europe, but on the other hand, we have to keep telling the testimonies, not because of the legal side of things, not to present as a fact that the Holocaust happened, but also to tell people, to make people understand what happened.
It's so important that we remember everything that was so horrific in the Holocaust. Today, with the testimony of Mrs. Deborah, it clearly shows the importance and significance of the event that we have here today, and that we also need to continue going forward to ensure that also future generation hear the stories, even though the people that have their own testimonies might not be able to tell it anymore.
So as a member of the Jewish community in the Netherlands, and a grandchild of Holocaust survivors, and have also many ancestors who have been killed in the Holocaust, the Holocaust is a very integral part of my life. It's something which always needs to be remembered and commemorated. And it's also important to not just look at what has happened in the past, rather to also think about how we can influence the world in a better way for the future.